Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Butler.
And I'm Mike Field.
And welcome to Forgotten Cinema Now Showing. Each episode, we highlight a brand new release. We'll discuss what we love about the movie or maybe don't love about it, but don't take our word for it. Go see the movie for yourself. Almost did the other opening.
What was that?
It's a combination.
Yes. What's happening, Butler?
You know, not much. As you know, I've worked for a private defense industry contractor, and I work there. So don't say that by name. I could get sued. And, I've stolen some proprietary information from them that shouldn't be proprietary information. It belongs to the world. I'm talking aliens. I'm talking Roswell. I'm talking Nixon bringing Jackie Gleason to see some aliens at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I'm talking full-on alien autopsies, like something like 600 gigs of this stuff. And some of the stuff will shock you. And the way we treat these aliens ain't great. And I'm going to put this out to the world because the world needs to know that we're not alone. We are on the precipice of disaster. And the only thing that could bring us back from the brink is to know that, you know, we're not alone in this universe. And maybe humanity needs to come together.
They did when the Knicks won the championship. That's when they came together. Anyway, that's right. We are doing Disclosure Day. A couple things, but Mike and I went and saw this actually at. We usually see this film in an IMAX, but our IMAX was, I guess, not functioning by us, the theater by us. So we actually saw it in. I guess it's an AMC, but it's the Dolby theater, right? And it's the first time I've been wanting to see something in the Dolby theater. So I was really impressed with the sound. I really liked the theater. It was a good experience. And we've talked about the experience before on our Now Showing. So I actually enjoyed the experience, even though it was 10:30 at night on a Sunday. And I was like, oh man, I got like 4 hours of sleep. I'm still in sleep debt right now as we record this. So I am tired. If I yawn, that is why. But, one of the things that I wanted to bring up before we started, Mike, was that I just, when you're between the time we watched it, actually, when it came out on Friday up until now, all I see is people's takes on it. All I see is just people talking about the movie, which obviously we are going to do. But I want to start off with you telling me of all the stuff they showed at the end, where that stuff is rooted in. Tell me, I'm really interested to know the revelations that they show at the end, like, because I was sitting next to you and then something came up and you were like nodding your head, like you knew what they were doing, you knew what they were referencing. So I really want to start before we get into the show about our like thoughts on our discussion. I really wanted you to kind of break down the stuff that was true, the stuff that's not true, the stuff that is rooted in some in the conspiracies that you have heard, because this is something you follow quite a bit, correct?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So spoiler alert, we're probably going to, that means we're going to get into some of the stuff about the movie. This is a film discussion, sure, not really a review. So in terms of like what they show during the disclosure event, the movie's called Disclosure Day. It is pretty much everything on those video screens is rooted in something that's true.
Every single one. Okay.
Pretty much every single one. Obviously, the splashdowns of the orbs going underwater, you could watch that right now. Those videos are out there. They've been part of the released declassified footage videos for a long time now. They're very interesting videos. I don't know if they're the most convincing, but obviously that's why you have the more larger than life stuff. And that's why, the movie follows why Wardex has been hiding the more larger than life stuff. But the stuff where we see a lot of ships and craft that are larger than a football field coming out of the sky that pilots are seeing are exactly what Navy and Air Force pilots, especially Navy. Air Force is a lot more secretive about it. Air Force is still a lot of don't ask, don't tell kind of stuff in regards to that kind of weirdness. A lot of those officers still feel like if they say anything, they're going to get taken off the flight stick. But a lot of Navy pilots are reporting a lot of stuff like that, including ships the size of football fields that they see hovering over through the clouds. So a lot of that footage is what we see at the end. And a lot of that footage is like Navy people saying, I have footage. Someone came down. I landed on the aircraft carrier. They took my black box. They sat me down, told me I couldn't say anything or I would get dismissed. No pay, blah, blah, blah. Basically threatened me, took all my information, took my camera, because a lot of pilots come with cameras on their ships. My co-pilot's taking footage, all gone. A lot of people report ships and craft that large flying over stuff. That is absolutely 100% true. Was it Kecksburg, Pennsylvania? That is an actual crash landing site that they talk about. That's the only one they name other than Roswell. That is a true crash site as well that a lot of people talk about. That the military came and something crashed there. That is pretty much that is a fact. Something crashed there and somebody was doing something and wouldn't let anybody through, and people claim it was a UFO. Who knows? I mean, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you it was a UFO because I don't know that. There's no real footage of that event other than the fact that it's confirmed that something crashed there and the military was there instantly and very fervently tried to stop anybody from getting anywhere near that crash site. Obviously, Roswell was there and the bodies recovered during Roswell. That is a big part of, obviously, that's just American history. Everybody knows about Roswell, whether it was true or not. That's every alien thing ever starts with Roswell. So everybody knows about that. But a lot of the footage, the craft that kind of changed shapes, the orbs going through the sky, that's all based on real eyewitness testimony. I'd say the only thing Disclosure Day kind of makes up is that kind of weird device, that the MacGuffin device. That's just kind of its own thing.
Okay. And obviously the old ass alien at the end. So the one where the sheriffs are out and those two, they look like they're two, I guess they're like in an X pattern and they come up and then they fly off. That's legitimate. That's a real one you've heard too?
A lot of people have reported stuff like that. Yeah. Where it's like they play with each other's shapes and they kind of form and come off, but they're one shape, but they're not really one shape. Yeah.
Cool. All right, cool. I mean, I kind of wanted to start with that because that's something that not a lot of people talk about. They're all just into the movie. So, and I know that it's a big thing for you. So I want to get that away, and I wanted to address that right away because that's important. I think this film, you bring that baggage, whether you believe or don't know, or how the level of how much you believe or how much you have researched or looked into it. I think everybody brings that kind of baggage to this movie. And that can affect how you view the film and I think me and you can obviously take that, put it here and kind of discuss the film in and of itself. And then we can mix that. I know I'm like all over the place. So I'm going to say off the bat that I kind of want to see this film again because something is off for me. And maybe we can work through it. I don't hate this movie.
I knew it.
Well, here's my biggest kind of takeaway.
We can't watch a movie this late with you anymore.
No. Here's my biggest takeaway. There are set pieces that I enjoy. There's stuff in the film that I like. There's a lot of stuff I like. Of course, I like the framing and I like the shots. And I'm a big Spielberg guy, so he knows how to tell a story. And I like the set pieces. It just feels like the connective tissue to get from those set pieces doesn't feel like it matches up. And I feel like the storytelling gets a little lost for me. Maybe because the movie's too long. I'm not sure. But like, give me your thoughts on that, but also what your initial thoughts on the film. And there's other stuff I can dive into, but that was my big thing. It's just, I couldn't quite get a grasp of the story I was being told. I knew what it was, but it was just like the way the story was told was throwing me.
So screw you, but also you're right.
Come on.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, okay, good.
I think that I really want to watch this a second. I mean, I'm going to watch this probably endlessly because it's about a topic I really enjoy. And but
it's also
think
Spielberg.
In the end, the more I sit on this film, the more I think about it, the more I really like it. But I think if I watched it again, I would have answers to questions I had at the beginning that would make the movie more complete. And I think that they don't pepper in enough information to you until at least I'd say 60% of the way through the film is when you start getting some semblance of answers that make you kind of go, okay, this is where I am. This is what's happening. I enjoy that the film just starts that our main, oh my God, this is why I had the freaking cast list. Daniel already has the information. It's not like, oh, he stole it and now he doesn't know what to do with it. He has it. He knows what he wants to do with it. Everything's already in motion. I like that aspect, but we're given like oh, watch out with that stick. You don't know what it does. I don't care what the device does at the moment because I don't. Oh, well, you know, I saw you handle it. Well, you know what happened to me. I don't know what happened to you. I don't. This tension that they're feeling in this scene, I don't feel. And the beginning of the film made me very nervous for the rest of the film to come. And as the film went, I kind of got into it, the discussions they were having, but that beginning of the film really put me kind of at unease in terms of what I was watching. I was like, I don't like how this is starting. And I feel like the second half of this film is so strong. And I feel like when I watch this film again, the first half will be stronger having rewatched it. But we talk about all the time on the show, I shouldn't have to do that. And that's kind of where I'm at. Overall, I really like this movie. And the more I think about it, and I've been listening to the soundtrack by John Williams, I really like the soundtrack. I really dig this movie the more I think about it. But I will agree with you that coming off of just your first watch, the beginning first half is a little, I think everything you said in terms of it's not really connected. It doesn't really go, not that it doesn't go anywhere, but it just leaves you kind of scratching your head and not really feeling like you're part of the adventure because you're so left out as an observer. You're so on the outside.
Well, there are moments in this film where I don't feel like it. I don't feel like I'm watching Spielberg. Like I feel like I'm just it's like with every Spielberg film, he has a language with how he uses the camera, with how he sets up shots and close-ups and dialogue. And there's moments in this film, maybe like 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 5 minutes here, where it doesn't feel like a Spielberg film. And that was one thing. And to your point about the beginning, I think it's a mistake to start off with Dan. The lead in this, the lead here is Jane, right? No, Margaret, excuse me. The lead here is Margaret.
Yeah.
Emily Blunt's character. Even because at the end, she's like this important person because of the thing that happened to her when she was 10 years old. And then it was a big deal at the end. They were building her house at the end. She is the lead. And we get Dan and Jane and it's like, then we meet, Margaret 15, 20 minutes later. And it's
too late.
It should have been her story because but like she's learning a secret. She's learning something about her past that she doesn't know. So we can't connect with her to learn that with her. We have to like you say, pick it up on the way. So I really think that was a mistake to start off with Dan. So I agree. Mean, it just, yeah.
I also think that my other problem with Dan as the central character for most of the film is that we're told Dan doesn't remember his childhood at all. He can't remember anything from before he was 10, I'm pretty sure is what he says. And he still doesn't. At the end of this film, we go back in time, we see him on the table, but we still don't know anything about Dan's life. We know Margaret's home, what it looked like. We know that her father died at 47 of Parkinson's and she left her father because she didn't want to. We don't know anything. We know that when Dan was in college, he took a lot of drugs and suddenly learned how to do math real good. And then became a hacker. Like, we don't know anything about his childhood. And Dan was like, Dan's journey is, I want to know more about my childhood from before I was 10. And by the end of this movie, he still doesn't know anything about his childhood from before he was 10. Or at least we don't know.
He's a supporting character. He's not like, let's put it this way, Mike. He's Rick Moranis in Ghostbusters. And like, you know what I mean? And like, Margaret is Sigourney Weaver's character. Like, that's the one that we should be following. And Dan is just a piece of that. But we set him up to be the lead.
That's a really good comparison.
And to that point, that brings me also to Jane. Jane's only purpose in this movie, right, is to just have the discussion about God and aliens. That is her only purpose in this film, is that philosophical question about God. And that's great. And that's fine. But then, like, she shouldn't show up. The whole stuff where she shows up at the end and she has the thing at the station. It felt forced, and I just didn't get it. And I love the discussion. Like I said, to my point before about the connective tissue, I love the conversation about that. I love her like battling with that faith thing, but getting to there felt forced. And I couldn't like really like get into that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know if it felt forced, but I do feel like Jane just appearing with the MacGuffin at the end felt wrong. Because I feel like she's there. She wants to tell Daniel, you can't just do disclosure. She's got her reasons. I don't agree with her reasons at all, but that's fine.
But the discussion is a good discussion.
The discussion is a good discussion. It's one that's constantly talked about online. But then, and I'm sure within the forces of the government that may or may not hold this information. But then she has the moment with Colin Firth, which is awesome. All that stuff is really, really cool. She gets the stick, and then we don't see her until the end. She has the one conversation with the sister in the monastery she used to be at. But I feel like there needed to be more. Like, yes, that conversation is powerful and should sway her. But then there needed to be one more scene where Jane decides yes, because she is an important character and she's played off as unimportant. But Jane is supposed to represent the people that are overly religious, the people that would fear this information, the people that can't handle the information, because Jane can't handle that information. Her reaction to seeing an alien for the first time is ridiculous, but at the same time, I'm sure a lot of people would have. Mm-hmm. And she needed one more scene after the conversation, the reassuring conversation with the sister, that makes her go, you know what, I'm going to fight for Dan. Like, she already doesn't want Daniel to get hurt. She wants Daniel to win. This is what Daniel wants, so she's doing it. There need to be one more scene where Jane is like, now I'm going to be involved in making sure disclosure happens. Something needs to happen to her. Maybe a conversation with Colin Firth's character, Scanlon, where she's just like, you're wrong. This is what has to happen. You know what? Daniel was right. Because something's got to happen where she breaks away from Scanlon's opinion, because she agrees with Scanlon. Like, she doesn't want to hurt Daniel, but other than that, like, the reason Scanlon gets into her head is because she agrees with his points. And I think there need to be one more connection scene where she's like, you're wrong. Something that further breaks Scanlon down as well.
The problem with that, though, is Scanlon controls her to try to kill him. And so that is like, there's no really coming back from that, because he's using her as an instrument to murder somebody. So there's no way she could connect with him like that after that.
But I don't think connect with him, but for him to be like, you can't get this information out. Mm-hmm. Like, when they can't find the stick on Daniel, why isn't their first thought, find the girl, find Jane? And then why isn't he connecting? He did it before. Connect with Jane again. I don't understand. She's still not an experiencer. You can still connect with Jane. She just disappears, but no one's thought is find that girl.
Right.
She's got the most important object on the planet in her possession. Clearly, unless they're all a bunch of morons, which that is my other, we can get into that. Everybody makes terrible decisions. But why not go after Jane? I think that's an important thing to look for.
Yeah. Yeah. What was your other point about everyone's morons?
They just make bad decisions. Daniel and his plan to get Jane but keep the backpack relies on him holding the stick and being able to slip a glove on all stealthily, like no one would know. How would you know to do that? I just don't you're not trained spy. You just got lucky no one caught you doing what you just did. Mm-hmm. And then going to the monastery is fine. Although, how do you not do your background research on Jane? Him in the hotel room deleting everything, getting to make sure there's nothing that says the hotel's name, but he's writing on paper with their letterhead on top. Mm-hmm. Come on, you know exactly what these people could do, and you were so careful about everything else. It just seems silly. I'd have to watch it again to remember. Scanlon makes a couple of really stupid mistakes as well.
There's a couple things too that they could like the scene when Margaret tries to destroy her phone, and it's like a 2.5 minute comedy session about running over the phone. I mean, what are we doing here? I can understand if that's you're doing that and then they catch up to you and there's a high speed chase. Okay, fine. That seems a little off. I didn't like that part. I don't understand when everybody comes to the house at the end. When they come to the farmhouse, not at the end, to get Daniel, and he's behind them and he sneaks up.
With no cover. He's so dumb. No cover, just runs up. Yeah, that's the other thing.
Gets into the car. They don't see him getting into the car. It's a cool scene when he drives through the house. That's a great. I love that. That's classic Spielberg. That's a great moment. But getting to it is just, this is stupid. Nobody's gonna turn around. Nobody's gonna check the perimeter. Nobody's gonna it doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of stuff like that where like, to me, like that stuff that wouldn't have, that stuff that's not usually in a Spielberg film, like those kind of like mistakes, story mistakes. And I feel like
are they not? Because you talk all the time about how there's mistakes in all those movies.
And that's true. But that furthers my point. The story is not well told. That's what I'm saying. Let me throw it to you this way too. Most of his films in the last 15 to 20 to 25 years, he's really touched upon a lot of themes. Like, I'm not talking like Jaws and Indiana Jones and all this stuff. Those are adventure films and there's themes in there. But like we talked about with War of the Worlds, he was mining like the feelings and thoughts and terror around 9/11. So he was, kind of like using that. War of the Worlds was his foil. The Terminal is a love letter to America right after 9/11. The Post was part like people's frustration with the administration, that kind of stuff. And then there's stuff where like he does The Fabelmans, which is semi-autobiographical, E.T. about his parents breaking up. So my point is that he does a lot of stuff that are theme based, right?
Right.
Where does Disclosure Day fit in that? It doesn't. You know what I mean? It feels like it just, I don't know where it fits. I don't know why this story needs to be told. Like we always talk about that in the show.
Well,
this is where I struggle with it. This is where I struggle with the movie because like you, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I want to see it again. I will probably enjoy it, but I struggle with why this story needs to be told.
So this is where I think I would break away from you because I think that
we don't have to be together.
I understand. We often aren't. I think that this story has to be told because this is Steven Spielberg's reaction to all the information coming out about UFOs and aliens. And I think Steven Spielberg is an avid, not ufologist, but someone who's very interested in the topic and reads all this stuff the same way I do and finds all the information and is reading all the information coming out, the declassified documents. For all we know, he talked to some of the pilots and stuff while he was like researching the film. It's just, this story has to be told because this stuff is coming out one way or the other. And like, we're getting to the bottom of this big mystery that could be the biggest information that anyone's ever heard. And I think that's the theme. That's the story. It's the story of, are we alone in the universe? And I think that's what it is. And it's because he's not being like, oh, it's aliens, but it's about, my parents divorcing. It's aliens, but it's really about 9/11. It's
let's relate this more. This
is aliens, but it's about
Close
aliens.
Encounters. This is more like Close Encounters.
It's like a follow-up.
Right, but Close Encounters, Mike, is through the eyes of Richard Dreyfuss's character. We did this show too, and I forgot all the names.
Roy or Rory.
Yeah, it's through those eyes, and they have personal journeys, right? And I think because we talked about already before how this starts off with focused on the wrong character, I think that's kind of like where I struggle because this should be through Margaret's eyes. This should be through her personal journey. I'm going to give you another movie that kind of does a really good job of this, and that's Contact with Jodie Foster with the Zemeckis film. Like that is obviously a story about connecting with, we made contact from aliens. They have this like discussion of who's going to go contact them. They do this whole thing, but it's also done through the story of a woman who struggles with science versus faith. She loses her father at a young age. She doesn't have that, you know what I mean? Like struggles to have a connection. And I think Contact is as big as Contact is, it's a very much personal journey for that character, for Ellie. Here in this movie, I think we need more of that kind of storytelling for me to really kind of be where you are right now with this film. Do you know what I mean? Like where you are with this film, I think I'm not there because, again, I'll go back to, I just think the storytelling is just not as strong as I want it to be. Maybe I just, or as for me, it's just not connecting.
I think you're right that Margaret needs to be front and center. I think you and I have the same issues with this film.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a perfect film. Because of that. But I think that Contact is a personal journey. It's about first contact, but it's not really about first contact. It's about Jodie Foster's character and her father and her issues with religion versus science. This film is not about that. This film is about disclosure first and foremost. And you have characters that you follow in between. But I think that Margaret is the most important character to follow. And you don't get that because I think she's got the hero's journey. I think Daniel already completed his hero's journey when we start the film. And I think that's the problem. He was a fuck up who turned into a criminal, who started working for the government, the bad guys, and was found and kind of mentored to be a good guy. to steal information to bring disclosure to the world, and he completed his mission pretty much. We get him at the end of his journey. He already took the risk, sacrificed his life. Whether disclosure happens or not now, it doesn't matter. Daniel has completed his hero's journey. The cycle is over. He has done a good deed and has become a hero. Margaret is still lost when we find her. She's moving around. She wants to move again. Or when we get to it, I don't know where I want to be, but when I get there, I'll know. She's the hero's journey and she's not the central focus. And I think that's the main issue with the movie is Margaret doesn't get enough screen time because Margaret is the focus. Daniel has completed his hero's journey. So when we get to him, it's not like, oh, Daniel sucks or whatever, but he completed his hero's journey. But then all we get is this fake backstory we don't get answers to. Margaret is the one that we need to follow more often because Margaret is the one that needs to go on the full hero's journey moment and all that kind of stuff. She needs to climb the mountain, all that kind of stuff. And we don't get that. And I think that's where I think a lot of people are getting lost, especially the people that aren't like really into the UFO phenomenon and being like, oh, well, that's that guy and that's that and that's that. You know, you still need that central character you're following. And I think Margaret is that character and you don't get enough of her because Daniel he's boring, not because he's boring, but because he's got nothing left to do.
While I respect that you are into all that and you know all that stuff, and that's why it connects with you, the movie can't assume that everyone in that audience has that background that you have, right? So I think it's important that the story is. I think that's why I think why we're differing on opinion in terms of like how we view this film, because I don't think this film, like you just laid out, doesn't do a good job of connecting to the regular layperson by all the things that you just said. So I think we both agree there. I wanted to ask you would call this optimistic sci-fi, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know if it's as optimistic as like E.T. or Close Encounters, but yeah, it's pretty optimistic. Yeah. Because
with the exception of Vortex, and then even at the end, because Scanlon kind of just sits down and I guess he's like, all right, whatever.
I don't think he's got anything left to do. Yeah.
I think it's more of that. And he's in awe of who Margaret is because he's never met somebody like Margaret, that kind of that connection that she has. It just seems that besides Vortex, everybody else in the film is just okay with, you know what I mean? Like there's no other obstacles other than Scanlon and Vortex. Like I think this is 2026, and I think there's way more cynicism now than there was back in the 80s and 70s when Spielberg's making these films. Or maybe, maybe we were kids back then, or I was kids back then, so maybe I didn't realize there was more cynicism back then. But it just feels like there should be a little bit more of an element there of like I'll go back to Contact. Like, I mean, it's boring. That part of when they're not boring, but it's like you don't want to do this, but like when they start doing like the Senate hearings and they start arguing about like, who should do what and all that stuff like that. Obviously that's rooted in that feels more realistic. I don't know if it fits here, but something along those lines. I think I need to have a little bit, or maybe I'd like to see some, because you just see panic from everybody, and then you immediately see acceptance. So I'm just curious if you kind of recognize that, if that's something that not a big deal to you. I'm just making stuff up. I don't know.
I don't think that's a big deal to me because this is completely different from Contact. Contact, you're getting some BS math that for all they know was actually sent by the Russian guy at the end. They start to be like, maybe he made it all up. No one knows that eccentric billionaire guy from Contact. Like they don't 100% know it's alien the entire time. They're going off on a hunch, and the Senate has to debate: are these aliens? Is this someone pulling the wool over? Right? What are we building? Are we wasting money? And then obviously all the religious people are like, oh no, who knows what you're doing? You're so making a gateway to hell, blah, blah, blah. Disclosure Day is different. There's no discussion because this stuff has already happened for 70 years. Contact doesn't say Roswell happened. Contact says we are just getting contacted now. Disclosure Day says, fuck you. It's been 75 years. Here are the aliens that we've been holding. It's true. Here's everything. Here's a dump of all this stuff. Like it or not, it's true. Fuck you. You got to watch this video. And you don't, and one of the things I like and don't like, I was thinking, is you don't get to see what happens on Disclosure Day. The film is called Disclosure Day, but it's really Disclosure Hour, because by the end of Disclosure Day, this is Disclosure Day. You don't get any of that aftermath. what happens with North Korea and Russia when they learn that America has all this information, or technically Wardex does. Does Russia also have some of that because they also have a Wardex?
Sure.
And they're
sure
not
they
mad,
do.
right? Absolutely. So, but it's like, it's all that kind of stuff you don't get to see afterward, because it's not about that. It's about getting this life-changing information that the public deserves to know out there. And it's not about whether or not it's true or not. It's, in this film, it's true. Here you go. Whereas in Contact, I think a lot of it is just, what is math? What is science? What is the nature of language in Contact? And there's a lot more theoretical and theological stuff to talk about, because in Contact, we haven't met anybody yet.
I don't want you to, I want to get away from just comparing the two movies. I was just comparing the storytelling aspect of it, but that's fine.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Just kind of like how they dealt with the topic, but
I don't think they dealt with the aftermath, because it's just about getting the information out there. That was always
they have more of a conversation, but regardless of that, why is it up to us to determine? Why is it up to humanity to disclose? If they're this powerful and they're this advanced, just show up on the lawn. Like, why is it up to us to disclose everything? Why?
I think if they just show up with their big old ships and their power,
which they have, apparently,
you're going to get a bunch of, who do we make? What do we call her when we were making fun of the show? Lucy's, where she just bows down and starts praying to Margaret. And we're like, God damn it, Lucy. We told you you're going to mess everything up. Like, you would just get a lot of that. And it's a lot of, oh God is coming down. Jesus is here. Or a lot of people being afraid of, like, oh, that's a show of force. Like, especially nowadays, you're coming down with your tanks and your guns and your cruisers, even if they're not, they're just UFOs. Oh my God, this is scary. I don't want to deal with this. Whereas humanity going,
you're still going to get that now.
We have all this. Yeah, but if they don't come down and show themselves in like a big showy show, it's just like the government's like, here, we have these things. Yes, they're here. And then they come down after it's been disclosed. And it's less of a absolute shock of, is this invasion, and people not knowing what's going on, because people are going to assume war. I think that's just what every human assumes when someone shows up on their front lawn. No one wants to answer the front door for the guy that you've never seen before knocking on your door. You hide behind the curtains and you go, they'll go away eventually.
Explain to me the Hugo character and why he knows everything. Why is he the man that knows everything?
I think Hugo is the guy that was the biologics department. So I think he was in charge of mostly taking care of the aliens, making sure that they are kept. It seemed like him and Scanlan were equal level before Hugo left. So Hugo probably had a hand in interrogations and talking. And unlike Scanlan, who, especially after his wife died, apparently went off the deep end with fear and anger and just assuming the worst of the aliens, Hugo probably had a more open mind. And the alien was just like, here's what we are. Here's what we want to do. You've been kind to me. Let me tell you more about my people. Empathy is key. And obviously, I think if you tell Scanlan empathy is key, he's just going to say liar and drill into your brain more, like he did in that one video. And it's just like, I kind of don't want to get my brain drilled into.
I don't want to. A lot of people, for some reason, feel the need to rank his movies now because they see this film. I don't know where this is coming from. I'm like, all of a sudden now we're just going to rank his films, and it's so.
The algorithm loves ranking.
It's so stupid. People are so unoriginal. And I know people are like really quick to like place this in his lexicon of filmography. I don't know where it is, and I never really think of that. I mean, I didn't really fall in love with Munich until my second or third rewatch of it, because you know what I mean. Like I really like Munich quite a lot. We talked about it on the show, on the main show,
right?
So, and then even when we rewatched War Horse, I really liked War Horse again, even more than so before. So down the road, my thoughts may change on Disclosure Day. I kind of think the stuff we talked about, the story-wise element stuff we talked about, I think that's going to stick for me. Like, how it starts and all that stuff. And like who we focus on. I think that I can't see myself being okay with it, but whatever, it is what it is. And not everything's a home run. If I said to you, this is, because he said so many films, do you think for you right now, this film is like top 50%? Like it's up there. Like you like this a lot more than a lot of his other films because he has a lot of great films.
He's got a lot of films, so I would say this is probably top 50 for me.
Okay, so give me a movie that you think it's better than in his filmography, real quick. Not the easy ones, not like the BFG or not the ones that everybody says, but
BFG. It's better than 1941. I think it's better than West Side Story. I think it was just a flat out remake. I think he just wanted to do a musical and he did it, and whatever, it came and went.
West Side Story is awesome, but I hear you. Okay, we'll see.
I have to see this movie again because I think my opinion will change. I think it'll get better because I'll know stuff about the character. I'll say Emily Blunt's performance in this film is fantastic. I think that's another reason Margaret needed more time. I think she does a really, really, really good job in this film, and I think she's really like I see her as underrated in my own eye because it's like, oh, Emily Blunt, but then you see her in even like Edge of Tomorrow. She's really good. As a supporting character, she's really good in Sicario, even though that's more like Benicio del Toro kind of steals the show. And in this, she's really, really good. Like I sometimes forget how great she is. I really like Jungle Cruise. I know a lot of people don't. I like Jungle Cruise quite a bit.
Good for you.
I thought Jungle Cruise was fun, but yeah, I think she's really, really good in this film. But I think she's kind of the standout in this movie.
So, I was glad. I liked the theater we saw it in, so I enjoyed the sound. Well, at least, in my experience going to that AMC, I've yet to see a film. This was the first time I saw a film there that was actually to the edges. Everything else has not been to the edges because they can't they can't be bothered to go up there and zoom in. Frustrating. As somebody who works at the theater, when I notice the screen looks like crap, it pisses me off. It's like, it doesn't take long. Just go up there and zoom in. Like, why can't you do that?
Hit the plus button 2 times. Let's go.
So don't hold it because then it goes too much. You just got to be like, boop, boop. But that's the Barco. That's the Barco ones. It's not, I don't know what they have up there. True. I don't know if they have Barco. But as soon as it fit the screen, I was like, all right, good. We're good to go. And all right. So that's I think we're done. That's our Disclosure Day. Check it out. We're going to watch it again, I'm sure. At some point. I know I'm being tasked by my children to go see Toy Story 5 and Supergirl, so I got to go see all these movies that come out. Where can they find us?
You can find us at ForgottenCinemapodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts. So go ahead and watch our other shows. If you want to get pissed off by our takes as well, it's happened before. We're releasing Time Bandits tomorrow. You'll be mad about our takes about that, I'm sure, just like you were our last Taylor Gilliam film, 12 Monkeys. Go check that out. We've got a bunch of lead ups that we just did Close Encounters leading up to this film because this film, while not a sequel, is kind of like his follow-up to Close Encounters. If you go on our Patreon for just $3 a month, you get exclusive episodes. We did a look back at E.T. that also chronicled like Steven Spielberg's career and stuff around that time and the making of E.T. We also got a THX 1138. We've got a look back on Friday the 13th, or not Friday, Nightmare on Elm Street. We've got a lot of look backs. Go check all those out on Patreon for just $3 a month. Then you can get exclusive voting power for our audience choice, where you get double the votes. Our audience choice is coming up in a few weeks, so check that out. And our main show comes out every Wednesday with a new episode, wherever you get your shows on YouTube or podcast.
But yeah, thanks for sitting for us. I hope you enjoyed the show and hope you enjoyed Disclosure Day, like we both did. However you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema Now Showing. Listen.